think you're right, because I believe that I think that makes a lot of sense too, because we spend a lot of time with our mothers no matter what. So we spend a lot of times with our mothers, and we are forced to reckon. We're forced to manage, we're forced to deal, we're forced to communicate, we're forced to, go through a lot of different channels as women with the mothers. And that's just the reality, is not every woman has a healthy relationship with their mother. So it's like, I think sometimes some of the components, I love that you said and mentioned that your past does not dictate your current life. Because sometimes I really feel like you said, Black women in general, and like you said, this cuts across any race, no matter what your race is. Having an absent father does not give, the world permission to be harsh or to invalidate, who you are and what you bring to this existence. So I agree with you.
That's a loving household.
Correct.
No matter what the family structure.
I love that, because I feel like I grew up in a very loving household with a lot of compassion and sensitivity. I tell people today that my grandmother was very sensitive. You can't say anything you want to her. And I think she passed that sensitivity to everybody. You should see us on a Thanksgiving Day. Everybody, you can't say nothing to nobody without somebody feeling like you hurt their feelings. So I always think about that.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I come across men who say, I did not have a father in the home. And because of that, I want to come to you, Dr. Alicia, because I want to make sure that my family is healthy. I don't want to be absent. I want to make sure that I'm there for my family because I experienced it. I understand what that feels like. I understand the pain and hurt from that. And I want to make sure I do it right. And that I give an applaud to, because that is the type of attitude that you need to have. Because the gold standard is to have two parents in the home, okay? Is to have a loving family and a loving relationship. Because from 0 to 18, you want to keep your ACEs score, adverse childhood experiences, as low as possible. But there are people who believe they grab only onto one concept of family structure, and they think that everybody else that don't follow some prescriptive family structure is garbage.
Yes, you're right about that. That's not true. So let me ask you this.
Yes.
People always say, how does childhood trauma show up in our romantic relationships? And what are the first steps to breaking toxic patterns?
Okay, well, first of all, if you grew up traumatized as a child, your outlook on the world is that I live in a world that's dangerous. So when you start to feel like you live in a dangerous world, you need to start looking at some of scary instances that happened to you that made you form these perspectives. So if you feel like the world is not to be trusted, if you feel like there's nothing but betrayal and that everybody is out to get you because you never really had a calm, peaceful, wonderful childhood like this, where you've been able to see the world in its totality, but if not, it's distorted. It gives you cognitive distortions. And if you haven't had a chance to process it, because let's just face it, there's no such thing as a perfect childhood. You need to have a space to process all of these imperfections that happen to you. And when you can process it, that's when you can start seeing the world in its whole totality and be able to learn how to trust, because you have to be vulnerable. You can't get into a relationship with somebody if you're not willing to be vulnerable. How's that person supposed to know you? How are you supposed to get to know yourself? How are you supposed to get know another person when you have all of these trust issues because you have this belief that the world is dangerous?
Wow.